You can see here, here's the storm. Guys, it's still a Category 1 hurricane with 90-mile-per-hour winds near Valdosta, Georgia right now, okay? 30 miles north of Valdosta. And there's Atlanta right there. It's going to be about 65-mile-per-hour winds, maybe even a little bit more than that sustained, which means you're going to see gusts of hurricane force in the Atlanta area. Hurricane warnings almost all the way up there. It is moving quickly to the north-northeast at 26 miles per hour, and you can see it's going to start turning to the north-northwest and then eventually do kind of a little bit of a, what would say, just a loop-de-loop up there, not much. There we go. This was landfall. 10 minutes after 11 o'clock last night, Osceola River mouth, that's about 10 miles west-southwest of Perry, Florida. It had 140 mile-per-hour winds and a pressure of 938 millibars. We were talking just a little bit ago. Because of the track and the way that it went, if you watch where it went on land right here, they had a really high storm surge on the right-hand side, but they didn't have as much over here on the left-hand side because the wind was blowing out, right? So not bad here, bad over here. We didn't really, I hate to say didn't have that luxury because, yes, we didn't get those winds, and that's one great thing. But the surge, it's not that like it just had surge here and not here. We had surge all the way up and down the coast because of the trajectory straight from south to north and nothing really kind of getting the center on shore. Now it becomes certainly a situation with wind and rain across Georgia into South Carolina. The further north it goes, the less wind they will have because it will continue to weaken, but the more rain it will actually produce. Now, for us, we've seen most of the rain that we're going to get. We're going to keep this kind of look to it. This will actually thin a little bit as we get going into the mid to late morning hours here on our Friday. But you can see that we still have some pretty good downpours coming through here. But these are very quick movers, 45, 55 miles per hour, kind of splash and dash, if you will. And the tornado threat is lowering. It's not quite over, but it is a lot lower for all of us. And you can see these cells don't look all that threatening, but they definitely will continue to add some water to the mix here. We've really only seen about 1 to 3 inches, maybe some spots with 4 inches of rainfall in the area, and that's right along the immediate coast too. Inland locations not seeing that much, although we've had a couple of bands like this that have moved through the Polk County area that have put down a pretty good amount of rainfall in a short amount of time, but it's not like anything like what we saw Debbie. Hurricane Debbie, for the folks in Manatee and Sarasota County, yes, this is not like that. That's the good news there. We will keep some rain in the forecast, but things are much better. We had gusts generally, and we'll show you this coming up here a little bit, upper 70s to low 80s more than anything else. We had the highest wind gusts, I think it was 82 in St. Pete, and we had, was it Cedar Key, had 84. But most of the gusts were in the upper 70s. Right now, we've got gusts at 32 in Tampa, 38 in Sarasota, 39 in Venice. That is a large wind field. The center is north of Valdosta, Georgia, and we're still getting tropical storm force gusts in Venice. And that's saying something, and that is honestly one of the reasons why we had so much storm surge. And it definitely verified. This thing was over 350 miles wide for the tropical storm force winds associated with this. That's huge. And the larger that is, the more water in this particular position that it went by that it can push up against our coast, and that's what happened. 28 mile per hour wind gusts in Brooksville, 21 in Clearwater. We lost power, I think, at the ASOS here. Downtown St. Pete has a lot of power. The pier, the marina, I'm not sure about the airport, but all the pier and the marina, all that stuff's dark right now. The power has gone out. Now here's the forecast for wind gusts as we get going in through the next several hours. And you can see generally in the mid-30s. We're in the upper 30s now. So it's really not going to change too much between now and about 5 to 6 a.m. And then after the sun comes up, it stays breezy, but we're not going to really be seeing as many gusts in the 30s as what we're seeing right now. So you're going to see a small change. And what you want to look for here is a big drop, because then that water will come down a little bit more. It's going to be a real slow drop of that water, but it is dropping, and that's the good news. If you think back last year to Idalia, we had 2 to 4 foot of surge. This year is going to be 5 to 7, and Idalia went up and came right back down. 2-3 hours, maybe 4 hours at the most. This was high when we woke up this morning. Anytime after 5 p.m. today, we were really seeing the inundation occurring. And here we are, we're going to push about 10 hours worth of it. In fact, probably going to end up with about 12 hours of really high surge. So here's the tides that I was talking about. This was the 5 o'clock low tide earlier yesterday. Now we've gotten to this high tide, but literally the next low tide's like here, and then it comes up to here. And so that's why I was trying to explain earlier that the tide's not really doing too much. What you need to know about the tide is it's not dropping down here 1.5 feet to 2 foot. That would help us out a little bit, okay? Unfortunately, we've timed it so that the wind pushed the water up. The wind's trying to hold it, although it's a little less wind, so it's coming down, but the tide's just not helping us by not dropping out underneath of all that. Here are those record water levels, and these numbers were as of 12:30 this morning. The asterisk that you see there means that they had not crested yet, meaning that the high tide level there, the surge, will be higher than that number. And every single one of these is a brand new record. So when you hear somebody say, we've never seen, I didn't evacuate, I've never seen that much water in my house. No, you haven't. Nobody has. You have to go back to 1921, 103 years ago, before we got hit with the Tarpon Springs hurricane to do anything similar to this. And even those records are spotty because we just didn't have the population here that we have now. Look at the record at Clearwater alone. The no-name storm in 1993, almost 4 feet, well, just about 4 feet of water in Clearwater. We got 6.5, a little better than that, at Clearwater from this storm. This storm was 110 miles out to our west, out over the water, the center of it, right? And we still ended up with these incredible numbers. Cedar Key, 9 feet. That probably will approach 10 feet, but that beats what we got last year for Idalia. St. Pete. St. Pete, to me, is one of the more impressive records because that's over 2 1/3 feet. Well, it's about 2 1/3. But that goes back to Hurricane Helene in 1985. And Hurricane Helene kind of came at our coast, did a little loop, and then went back out to the north and the west. So it was sitting there pushing some water. Just incredible numbers. We'll eventually have the official numbers. But what you need to know is that everything verified. The Hurricane Center forecast for the Tampa Bay area was 5 to 8 foot storm surge. Most of us got 6, almost 7. Anywhere from 5 to 6 and almost 7. Here's also the good news. Here's the water dropping. That's Clearwater Beach. Fantastic news right there, but it got up into the major flooding. We had it all the way up in the parking lot there. We had it towards the circle. I don't think it made to the roundabout there, but it was very close. When you start losing daylight here, and that's when we saw a lot of the surge. You couldn't see a lot. This is Cedar Key. You can see Cedar Key got up there just shy of 10 feet. And now that's St. Pete. And again, this is falling too.